There was once a merchant who lived in a bustling town at the edge of a vast desert. His life was defined by numbers, coins, debts, and the endless calculations of profit and loss. He was known far and wide for his shrewdness, his ability to turn even the smallest opportunity into gold. But despite his wealth, he carried a heaviness in his chest, a gnawing emptiness that no amount of silver or silk could fill. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the marketplace, he overheard a traveler speaking of a sage who lived deep in the desert. This sage, it was said, could answer any question, solve any riddle, and bring peace to even the most troubled heart. The merchant, desperate for relief from his invisible burden, decided to seek him out. The journey was grueling. The desert stretched endlessly, a sea of sand under a relentless sun. The merchant's water ran low, his feet blistered, and his mind began to play tricks on him. He saw mirages of lush oases, only to find more sand. He heard whispers in the wind, taunting him with questions he couldn't answer. Why was he so restless? What was he truly seeking? He pressed on, driven by a hope he couldn't quite name. After days of wandering, he finally stumbled upon a small hut nestled between two towering dunes. Outside sat an old man, his face weathered by the sun, his eyes calm and deep as the night sky. The merchant fell to his knees and gasped, "I've come so far. Please, tell me, how can I find peace?" The sage studied him for a long moment, then gestured to a small wooden bowl at his feet. It was filled to the brim with water. "Take this bowl," the sage said, "and walk around the hut without spilling a single drop. When you return, I will answer your question." The merchant frowned. This seemed too simple, almost foolish, but he obeyed, carefully lifting the bowl and beginning his slow, deliberate circuit around the hut. His focus was absolute. He felt the weight of the water, the precarious balance of the bowl in his hands. Every step was a test of patience and precision. When he finally returned to the sage, he set the bowl down with a sigh of relief. "I've done it," he said. "Now, tell me, how can I find peace?" The sage smiled faintly. "Look into the bowl," he said. The merchant peered down and saw his own reflection staring back at him, rippling gently in the water. "While you carried this bowl," the sage continued, "what were you thinking of?" The merchant hesitated. "The water," he admitted. "I thought only of the water, of not spilling it." The sage nodded. "And now?" The merchant paused. His mind, which had been so focused moments ago, began to wander. He thought of his journey, his exhaustion, his unanswered questions. "Now," he said slowly, "I think of everything else." The sage leaned forward, his voice soft but piercing. "Peace is not something you find by seeking it. It is something you create by letting go. When your mind is full of thoughts, of worries, desires, regrets, there is no room for peace. But when you focus on the present moment, when you give yourself fully to what is before you, peace arises naturally, like the stillness of this water." The merchant stared at the bowl, his reflection now calm and clear. He realized that his entire life had been a frantic search for something he already possessed. If only he could quiet his mind long enough to see it. He thanked the sage and began the long journey home, carrying not answers, but a new way of seeing. Years later, the merchant was known not for his wealth, but for his wisdom. He often sat in the marketplace, a simple wooden bowl in his hands, offering the same lesson to anyone who would listen. Peace, he would say, is not in the distance. It is here, in this moment, in this breath. Hold it gently, and you will find it. And those who paused to listen often left with a lightness they hadn't known before, carrying not a bowl of water, but a quiet understanding of what it means to truly live.